Before I begin, I'd like to state that this ranking is just my opinion. While I do have a lot of experience in MvM with over 2000 tours, that doesn't mean my opinions are necessarily the correct ones. It's just what I think of the weapons personally. I'll be starting with the F tier and gradually go up from there onto the S tier. With that out of the way, I'll begin the ranking now. Starting us out on the F tier is the Rocket Jumper. I hope everyone realizes that the Rocket Jumper has no place in Man Up and should exclusively be used in Boot Camp if you really want to use it in MvM. And even then, I can't guarantee you that you won't be kicked for using it in Boot Camp. Obviously, it should only be used in combination with other weapons like your secondary or melee, but don't even think about using it with the following weapon. The Market Gardener. Listen, it might be fun to go around hitting people with the Market Gardener on casual or community servers, but this is MvM. You can't just do that and expect actual results. Actually, who am I kidding? You're probably just messing around anyway with those two weapons equipped. So the paint train is quite literally useless in normal MvM, since there's nothing to capture for you, as well as taking 10% more damage to bullets. But did you notice that I said normal MvM? As you might or might not know, there are community MvM events that are happening each year, with completely new and different maps to play on. And I remember there's a map called Downtown, where you were actually able to capture the gate areas back when they have already been captured by the robots, making them have to capture the previous point again. But the twist is that you can only capture them back when you have 2 points on capture rate. So that means you can only capture it back if you're a scout or if you have the paint train equipped. So using the paint train on that specific map was actually somewhat useful if the robots were overwhelming you. Oh, come on! Next up is the D tier, and the first weapon on this tier is the direct hit. Now this weapon is pretty great at taking out single robots, such as giants, but the problem is that Soldier's primary role is to take out the small robots with a splash damage. That's what he excels at. But the huge problem with the direct hit is its minus 70% explosion radius, making it very bad for crowd control and therefore not being able to fulfill his primary role. The gunboats could be useful for people who rocket jump a lot, whether it be to dodge incoming fire, get to higher places, or by using the airstrike, which requires you to do a rocket jump to get its benefits. Other than that though, there's not too much use for it. The panic attack is not really a good choice for Soldier. He has way better secondaries in his disposal that are not shotguns, but it is better than the stock shotgun. It's way better in close range than the shotgun and deploys 50% faster. The reserve shooter is not very useful. The amount of times you'll be able to use its benefit of mini-critting airborne targets is low and not very realistic, since you're either going to get killed while trying to get them airborne, or your team already destroys them before you can even make it happen. Also, getting heavy bots airborne is much harder since the heavy takes less knockback than the other 8 classes, but it can be useful against engineers since they have a lot of HP. You can shoot them once to make them fly and then finish them off with the reserve shooter. That's pretty much it though. The Righteous Bison should not be used on robots as it's pretty weak against them. It's mainly used for tanks, which it does an okay job on them if it's fully upgraded. Standing directly in front of the tank makes it deal the most damage. However, with the money that it takes to fully upgrade the Bison, which is $1,950 if you don't count the health on kill upgrades, you could spend that exact amount on your primary and get the same if not better results, without having to equip a bad secondary weapon. The Bison is definitely better on early wave tanks where cash is low. The C tier has arrived, and with it we have the Black Box, a great weapon for beginners who struggle to stay alive. Getting healed every time you deal damage with it is amazing, and you can even skip out on buying the health on kill upgrade when using the Black Box. but just make sure to not get too dependent on it. The healing might be useful, but it has one rocket less in its clip size, which becomes a problem a lot of the times. The Liberty launcher's increased clip size, projectile speed and the reduction of blast damage from rocket jumps are great, but it's at the cost of a minus 25% damage penalty. Damage is pretty important in MvM, so it's not the most optimal primary to use. You're free to use it, but just make sure to focus on upgrading the damage. The base jumper should only really be used with the airstrike to increase the time in air, so the benefits of the airstrike lasts longer. A fun and amazing combo, but pretty much useless by itself. The man threads reduces the push force taken from damage by 75%, which is great because there's a lot of it in MvM. Damn, Force Nature Scouts. The massive increased air control when rocket jumping could be useful, perhaps by using the airstrike if you don't feel like equipping the base jumper and really want the push force reduction. The other two stats are basically meaningless. The halved Satoichi is definitely a better fit for demo, but it still can be useful when using it with a soldier. Just make sure to actually get a kill with it if you need to. I'd suggest trying to kill the Satoichi demo knights that are present in 2 cities, since you'll be able to one-shot kill them when having the Satoichi equipped. But so can they. The equalizer is best used as a tank buster. Just get yourself at very low HP so you'll deal max damage and start hitting the tank with it. It does pretty decent damage against tanks, especially if you've maxed its attack speed, which only costs $800. That's definitely a lot of damage for only $800, and it's way better at tank busting than the Bison. Would I recommend you do this? Not necessarily, since your primary is probably better off against the tank. The BTS brought us the Cow Mangler for its first weapon. Having unlimited ammo is so powerful. You don't have to worry about managing anything, so if there's an inexperienced engineer who gets his dispenser destroyed too much, who cares? You have the Cow Mangler. But that also means it's much more difficult to destroy enemy sentries with it, as well as mini critting whenever it would normally crit, making crit creek charges and crit canteens less powerful for you. There's a stupid thing with the Mangler, which is that it depletes your whole gun if you use your alt fire, regardless how many points of clip size you've upgraded. So it doesn't matter if you have no clip size or max clip size upgraded, it will always deplete your gun. The airstrike kinda has the same problem as the direct hit, but not nearly as extreme. While rocket jumping, your attack speed increases considerably, and you get one more rocket in your clip size when you destroy a robot, up to a maximum of 4 additional rockets when you destroy 4 robots. However, it does 15% less damage, and the worst part is its explosion radius. It has a default of minus 10% explosion radius, and when you're rocket jumping and in the air, the radius gets even smaller. So crowd control with the airstrike isn't as good as the other rocket launchers, but it's definitely still more than usable. And let me tell you, when you upgrade it, it deals massive damage to not only robots, but also tanks, especially with crit canteens. The battalion's backup is amazing at protecting you and your team. Not only do you get 20 max health, making your health go from 200 to 220, but it protects you from crits, sentry damage by 50% and 35% from everything else. This has the chance to be a game changer in some scenarios. If you're experienced and know when to use the battalions, there's literally no reason for you to buy any sort of resistances. It also protects you from the push force you get when you've been hit by crits, which is important. The only downside I can think of is it's kinda useless when the medic has his shield up, since you're most likely not going to take any damage, and it gets even more useless if the medic is experienced and knows when to put up his shield. The A tier starts off with the reliable rocket launcher. You really can't go wrong with it. It has no reduced explosion radius or damage or clip size. You just shoot at the big bad robots and they go kaboom. Sometimes the most simplest weapons are the best ones. Same deal as the rocket launcher, but there's a neat trick with it on Rottenburg. At the top right side, you can actually shoot in between this gap and hit the robots, all while they can't hit you. The buff banner is an excellent damage buff to your team. Unlike the Fan of War, where the scout is only able to give mini crits to his team on a single target, the buff banner gives your nearby teammates mini crits to all targets. That also includes the tank, whereas the Fan of War's marked for death cannot be used on a tank. So all around, just a great offensive tool. The disciplinary action is a great support weapon. With it, you'll be able to not only increase your movement speed, but also your teammates if you hit them with it. Does your teammate need to reach the teleporter entrance? Whip them. Does your teammate need to escape quickly? Whip them. Do you want to move faster while rocket jumping? Whip them. The biggest downside of it is that its use is when you're not close to teammates. And finally we have reached the S tier, and with it the biggest bazooka. This weapon is a damage monster machine when you upgrade it enough. Being able to fire multiple rockets is seriously busted in MvM. If you fully upgrade its clip size, you'll have 11 rockets in total that you can load. Firing all of them with maxed out firing speed is something I can't even explain. It's too good. Overloading the beggars can help you reach the front lines faster, in case the teleporter is destroyed or if a teammate wants to use it. Now I sadly do have to talk about the cons of this weapon, even though I love it so much. It has a minus 20% explosion radius, as well as you not getting any ammo from dispensers when you have it active, meaning you need to switch to your secondary or melee to receive ammo from the dispenser. And probably the most annoying thing about the beggars is its inaccuracy. Sometimes it feels like you can't hit anything with it, even when they're right in front of you. However, there's less inaccuracy if you fire multiple rockets. The most inaccuracy appears to be when you fire one single rocket. In my opinion, the Contra is the best backpack out of the three. Not only does it give you passive healing, but when you activate it, your teammates near you get healed the same amount as damage they have done. Whereas the Mad Mig, for example, only heals you for 60% of the damage done. And let's not forget about the speed boost. Being able to give your teammates faster movement is amazing for rushing in and even escaping. It also helps you move faster while rocket jumping. The escape plan is perfect for, well, escaping. Why would you want to fight robots with low HP and die stupidly only for the medic having to revive you if you can just swap to the escape plan and make a run for it? Combine it with the Contra to move even faster and ensure your escape. Just make sure to not actually get hit though if you have it out. That won't end good. Thanks for watching my soldier tier list video. I hope you enjoyed it, and please let me know your opinions in the comments. I'd love to read and discuss what you have to say. See you on the next video. Bye bye.